smut, so you know they like bang at some point, and it's great. And the man always like, I don't look in the eyes while I bang. Like, I don't kiss. I don't do that. Like, please. Yeah. And then they do the exact opposite, and then that's like literally it. And then there's a cat at the end of the book, and it's just like, hell, I can like not relate. Like, I hate this man more than I like him. Same goes with the women though, they like absolutely bland characters. Like, I think Bridget didn't even have a single hobby that like defined her as a character. Like, her character was being a princess. Like, that's literally it. There was like a half-assed, she likes to help children in the middle of it. Or like the people. That was literally it. Like, I don't know. Like, there isn't a single sweet thing he says to her or does for her, or like that happens between them. There's just banging, and then they're like in love. Why? Don't ask me. So yeah, I don't know. It's just not for me yet. 2 stars. I did finish it though, because I was half invested in the plot. But yeah, like, it took me ages, and it just wasn't that great. I'm sorry. But then next I read The Housemaid by Frieda McFadden, and this book started a slight obsession. So The Housemaid is a pretty well-known thriller, and I've heard so much about it that I really wanted to read it, or like I listened to it on Audible. So basically it's about Millie, who gets a job as a housemaid for a rich family, and then while she works there she kind of uncovers some secrets, I guess, and there's stuff happening. I don't want to spoil anything, so that's all. I gave it 4 stars. It wasn't amazing, but it was really, really good. I fell in love with Frieda McFadden's writing, and you'll see I read a few more Frieda McFaddens this month. But yeah, generally I really like it. If you are down for a super, super fast-paced, thrilling read, then grab a Frieda McFadden book. I think it's a safe bet. Everything I've read so far was pretty good. So if you're in the mood for that, I definitely was in the mood for that this month. Which you'll see in a minute. But yeah, it's just I needed that fast-paced book, like those fast-paced books that I could just absolutely fly through and not have to think too much about, if that makes sense. But next up, I read a really, really anticipated release that I had for this month, which was the 3rd book in the Crescent City series by Sarah J. Maas. So this is House of Flame and Shadow, which is again the 3rd Crescent City book, and I actually got this quite early after release. And this is one heavy book. So I rated it 5 stars because Sarah J. Maas can do no wrong in my eyes. I really enjoyed this book. However, it is not my favourite, I will say. I thought like it was fast-paced enough, and I flew through it. I think it took me 7 days for, I think it's 800 pages, and it took me 7 days, so it's alright. Yeah, I don't know, I was just hoping there were more characters in this book. If you know, you know, and I was kind of hoping they would play a bigger describe it. It just like I've read better books by her. So if you don't know, Crescent City is the newest series from Sarah J. Maas, who's the author of the Avatar series. And Crescent City follows Bryce Quinlan, who's a human, and she lives in Crescent City, which is it's another world than say that they can't have sex. Like, there's stuff going on when, like, that happens, and they have different reproductive organs, I guess, which makes it difficult to have sex, and that was slightly confusing for me. I also didn't need that. Like, in Twilight, they didn't have that, okay, so, yeah, I don't know, I didn't feel the need for it, especially because everything else felt so normal, like her other books, just that they happened to be vampires and werewolf. But if you take all the, like, that out and make them, I don't know, just two opposing clans or whatever, it would almost be the same story. So I don't know, I feel like the weird reproductive stuff was kind of like out of the blue for me. And I feel like we could have left that out, but I don't know. So yeah, not my favourite Ellie Hazelwood book, but I did enjoy it. Again, I gave it 4.5 stars. Now, I don't know, I continued on my thriller and crime spree. Next, I read The Coworker by, surprise, Frieda McFadden. I don't know. So The Coworker is about Natalie, who is a sales associate at like an MLM place, I feel. And her co-worker, who is, I think it's not outright said, but I would say her co-worker's on a spectrum, and she's very punctual, very, like, loving her job, and one day she just doesn't show up to work, so Natalie sets out to figure out what happened to her co-worker, and from there on it kind of begins. So we get Natalie's point of view, and then we get what's her name? Dawn. We get Dawn's point of view, which is the co-worker, but we only get her emails she sent. So I really like that the like separation between Natalie narrating the present and Dawn's emails from the past. So that was kind of nice for me. I did like this book. It was a nice thriller, however, it didn't have the same appeal to me as the other ones. It kind of doesn't have the same, like, almost eerie, scary vibe. It's a bit more of a normal thriller. However, I did really enjoy it. I think I read it in like one night, because I just couldn't put it down. I haven't rated it yet, but I'd say like 4 stars. I think it wasn't a 4.5, but it was a really good book. Again, I can only recommend reading it. Yeah, to be fair, not much more to be said. I really did an absolute terrible job at reading my actual physical TBR, or any of my TBR to be honest, because I just randomly picked other books. Like, I read 2 physical books this month and have so many that I need to read, like the entire stack behind me. That's all physical books I haven't read yet. And somehow I managed to only read 2, and all the other books I just like made up on the spot that I wanted to read them. So, but next, I did read a book that was on my TBR for a while, but I don't have, again, I only have it as an ebook, which is Listen to Me by Tess Gerritsen, and it's a book 13 in the Rizzoli Niles series. Now, if you know the TV show Rizzoli and Niles, maybe you do, I loved that as a kid, but there are actually books to that by Tess Gerritsen, as I previously mentioned, and her books are just amazing. So Rizzoli is a detective, and Isles is more Isles, and she's a pathologist, is that the word? I think so. And they are friends, and they work together to solve various crimes. So it is a crime book, and give it like 3.8 or 4 stars as well. It was good, but I already have forgotten like half of the plot, and it's literally been like 4 days since I read it, so I don't know. Yeah, it was alright. Nothing too crazy yet. Then again, I should read different books. I don't know what I'm doing, but I was really in a Sarah J. Maas hangover, and I wanted to reread Agatha for so long now that I've started listening to the audiobook, because I actually don't have the first book as a physical copy yet. I don't know, I just never got it. Never felt the need to, because I hate Tamlin with all my heart. Anyway, so I listened to the Audible graphic audiobook dramatized adaptation, and friend, I read the normal books previously, but the audiobook, it's so well done. It's amazing. So the book is read by a full cast, so every person has a different narrator, and the voices are so well matched, like it's performed so well. And then there's like background music, and you know, when they walk you can hear like footsteps and stuff, so it's really like a graphic audio. I think they always say in the beginning it's like a movie in your mind, and it's really, really good. If you have Audible, I can highly recommend it. It is split in 2 parts. I listened to both, but I only marked one on Goodreads, because I kind of feel like I don't want to mark 2, because that will count as 2 books on my yearly goal, and to me it's just kind of one book. Okay, so I left it in one book, but amazing. Obviously the story is amazing, and I just really, really loved the audiobook. Amazing. Which brings me to my current read. So I'm currently on book 2, which is A Court of Mist and Fury, which I do actually have as a physical copy, but I like initially wanted to only listen to the first book and then switch to my physical copy. So however, I love the audiobooks so much that I'm currently doing something that I've never done before, which is kind of buddy reading the audiobook at the same time as my physical book. So I'm kind of switching between what medium I'm using. If I'm like on the go or doing something, I'll listen to the audiobook, and then when I have time to sit down, I just like continue the story where I'm at in the book. What I've also done, the audiobooks are just so good and so immersive and well done with the background noises and everything, is that I'll have the audiobook playing and like read what they're saying in the book, which is a really, really weird feeling, and again, I've never done it before, so it is kind of out of my comfort zone. But it's really, really interesting. I'm really enjoying myself. The audiobooks really, like, they're so good. Now I'll give you a little tip. So I've seen that book 1 and book 2, so A Court of Mist and Fury as well, are uploaded on Spotify. I don't think that is very legal. Like, I think it's legal because obviously I'm paying for Spotify, but I don't think it's legal for the person who uploaded it, because obviously they're Audible originals, so you need to pay for them on Audible with your credits. However, because all the books are split in 2 parts, it's 2 credits per book, and I think the third one is even split in 3 parts, so that's 3 credits you'd have to use for that, pay for that. They are definitely worth it. However, I'll tell you now, my friends, that I did find them on Spotify, so you may look it up if you want to. I can never decide between if I'm morally thinking it's alright or not, you know, because I do pay for Spotify, so they can pay if they realise they made a mistake, you know. But at the same time, I do believe in is what I'm currently reading. I finished it, but I finished it in March, so I'm not talking about it now. But my other current read was What the River Knows by Isabel Ibanez. I don't know, it's one of my very lewd books. It's one of the young adult very lewd books of, I believe, November. I may be wrong. And so far, I mean, I know, but so far this book has been really, really good. It's about Ines, who sets out to Egypt after her parents mysteriously die there, and it's really, really good. It's like a Indiana Jones, just that the main character is a girl, and it's really, really good if you are in the mood for like a cool adventure Indiana Jones vibe in Egypt with a lot of like world building, so you really get really immersed into that Egyptian world. There's a lot of description about the world building, like it's really well done. Pick this up, it's definitely a recommendation for me. So yeah, that was all I read this month. So for next month, March, I definitely want to read more of my physical TBR. I need to, because I just, for another video, I'm showing you my entire physical TBR, and I counted how many books I have on my physical TBR, and it's 82 books, so I really, really need to read my physical TBR, because this month I read 2 out of 10 books on my physical TBR, and they were both new releases, so they weren't even on that TBR like ever. So I really need to read my TBR, but keep like what am I saying? I can't talk today. It's really early and my mind's just scrambled. But yeah, what I was saying is I really need to read my TBR. I don't know, I'm torn between reading Divine Rivals and Legendborn. So that's kind of what I'm thinking I might read. I'm also going on holidays in like 2 days, and I don't know yet how many physical books I can take, because I'm going for 10 days and I'm not planning on taking too much luggage, so I might have to take my ebook reader. But yeah, the other book I'm currently reading, by the way, on my ebook reader is The Soulmate Equation by Christina and Lauren. I don't know if you say Christina Lauren, because it's 2 people writing one book. It's a duo, and one of them is Christina, one of them is Lauren, so I was really confused when I figured that out, because Christina Lauren sounds like a first name and a last name, and I think that was the intention. Yeah, it's just, it's confusing my little brain. But yeah, The Soulmate Equation, I've heard a lot about this book, so I kind of started it as my little romance read. But yeah, that was all from me for today. Stay tuned for the next wrap up for March. I'm really excited for that one because I'm hoping I'll get through good books, okay? But yeah, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'm really excited to see you in the next one. So, goodbye guys. I hope you